Chinese calligraphy on strips of white silk. Raymond and Linda bowed before the altar 3 times before Chow escorted her over to the section reserved for family. Bruce's older brother, Peter, and his wife, Eunice Lamb, stood solemnly. Linda was helped out of her fashionable long coat and into a white, hooded burlap morning gown, per Chinese custom. Her 2 children, 8-year-old Brandon and 4-year-old Shannon, were brought in from a side entrance and dressed in white burlap as well. A white bandana was tied around Brandon's head. Shannon, too young to understand what was happening, played happily, while Brandon glared angrily. A Chinese band struck up a traditional funeral song, which sounded like Auld Lang Syne. Bruce's Hong Kong $40,000 bronze casket was brought into the room. The top half of the coffin was opened. Inside was a protective enclosure of glass covering Bruce's body to prevent anyone from touching him. Linda had dressed her husband in the blue Chinese outfit he had worn in Enter the Dragon, and liked to wear around the house because it was comfortable. Beneath the glass, Bruce's face looked gray and distorted, despite heavy makeup. Friends filed past the open casket to see him one last time. Press photographers jostled with the invited guests to get a better angle. Many simply raised their cameras above their heads and snapped away furiously. As Linda made her way to her husband's side, she looked heartbreakingly close to collapse. Covering her face with a trembling hand, Linda burst into tears. It was a frightful time, she later confessed to friends. Seeing his hearse begin to depart, Bruce's fans went wild with grief. 300 policemen surrounding the funeral parlor were forced to link arms and form a human chain to hold back the surging crowds. Eventually, reinforcements were called as women and children were repeatedly plucked clear of the barrier to prevent them from being crushed. Old men wept, young girls fainted, and many people were hospitalized for shock and minor injuries. It was terrible, all right, remembers Peter Lee. For hours afterward, police with loudspeakers were still patrolling the streets, urging people to return to their homes. Many mourners refused to leave because they knew this was the last time they would be near their hero. The Hong Kong tabloids had angrily reported that Linda planned to bury her husband in America, making it nearly impossible for the average Chinese fan to visit his grave. Under the headline, "Lee's Body Flies to America Tomorrow," the Oriental Daily wrote, Linda has stuck to her guns regarding several things about Lee's death. She is obviously holding some kind of grudge. From the start, Linda wanted to ship Lee's body back to America for autopsy, but due to legal restrictions, she relented. However, the body will be sent to America for burial. In life, Bruce Lee sought to straddle East and West. In death, he only had one body, and his Western widow had to pick a side. She chose her hometown. "I decided to bury Bruce in the peace and calm of Seattle," Linda explained. "I think his happiest times were spent in Seattle, and I intended to return there with my children to live." Seattle was where Linda had grown up, gone to college, and fallen in love with Bruce Lee. Her hometown had the added benefit of being a tranquil place for a funeral, unlike the mass mania of Hong Kong. In Asia, Bruce was bigger than the Beatles. But in America, Enter the Dragon had yet to be released. He was an obscure TV actor whose death garnered only a handful of short obituaries, several of which contained glaring errors. The Los Angeles Times wrote that Linda was his Swedish-born wife, and in a shameful they-all-look-alike mistake added that Bruce was the hero of such films as 5 Fingers of Death. The popular Shaw Brothers kung fu movie actually starred Lie Lo. To ensure a serene Seattle funeral, Linda sent a telegram to Warner Brothers executives insisting on a quiet and private service with no publicity.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.